massive. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a son, and I'm a brother. And as you see my family there, that was back in 2016, a picture of my family, my daughter graduating from LSU. Next to her is my wife and my two sons. My oldest son to my left is CJ, 19 years old tomorrow. The youngest is 16, and my daughter is 24. My wife, Rodretta, we've been married going on 25 years now. She's also an educator, and she is from Lake Charles, Louisiana. So I like to tell folks when they ask where I'm from, I was born in Illinois. I'm a military brat. I was born in Illinois. I grew up in Alexandria, Louisiana, England Air Force Base. But I matured in Alaska, Ellendorf Air Force Base, 24 plus years. When opportunity came to go to undergrad, I went to LSU. Earned 2 master's degrees after leaving LSU in '92, one in teaching secondary social studies, the other in public school administration, K-12. And then I was afforded the opportunity to go to St. John's in New York, where I earned my doctorate, public school administration and supervision. Opportunities to work carried me to Alaska, Anchorage School District, 9 years, where I served as a teacher and began my administrative career. My first opportunity to be a principal was in EBR. I had the opportunity, partnership with Southern University, to open up Capital Pre-College Academy for Boys. Following that stint, I was quickly recruited to Atlanta Public Schools, where I became the founding principal of the BEST Academy, an acronym, Business, Engineering, Science, and Technology, all boys, 6 through 12. Following that opportunity, I went to Missouri, where I was recruited to go and do the same thing in Normandy School District, which is an offshoot of St. Louis. Following that, currently I am a school improvement coach in Mississippi. Currently work for the Department of Ed, Office of School Improvement, where I work with the bottom 5% of struggling schools in the state of Mississippi. So positions, teacher, assistant principal, principal, leadership coach. In Louisiana, I'm currently the program manager for Advanced Innovative Education. Our company is one of the highest performing in terms of providing individuals the opportunity to become alternatively certified within Louisiana. I am the program manager, where I oversee all aspects of the leadership program. Individuals who go through the program, they have a 92% passage rate on the state exam, and most of them are employed throughout Louisiana, completely online. This is what I believe in terms of an effective school system. First and foremost, a school board that's elected by the community, a superintendent who provides the energy necessary to achieve the mission and the vision of the district, stakeholders who are actively engaged in the district, and we see some of those individuals here tonight, a shared mission and vision that inspires and motivates employees to perform at their best, a district that provides equal access and equity to all to succeed, an aligned curriculum and instructional strategies to meet the rigorous state standards where all students can compete in the 21st century. And last but definitely not least, high expectations, because it provides the accountability everyone needs to succeed on a daily basis. My leadership style, first and foremost, is servant leader. I focus on the needs of others before I put my own interests before theirs. And the research says this: it leads to higher engagement, productivity, more trust, and loyalty. And it builds stronger relationships. In the field of education, relationships matter. Teacher to student, student to teacher, administrator to teacher, school board to superintendent. Relationships matter across the board. Number 2, distributive leadership. I firmly believe I can't do it by myself. So I have to allow others to be a part of the process. It equates to a shared collective and extended leadership that builds capacity for change and improvement. And that's something that I will be bringing to the table. And the research again shows it increases points towards productive relationships when you're providing distributive leadership as well as effective and efficient organizations. Let's take a look at the school performance currently. And it shouldn't be nothing new. I'm sure you've all seen it before, but what I did on a quick look, I noticed 8 of 13 schools are C or better. However, 4 of the 8 have a decrease in school performance score. 8 of 13 school performance scores have decreased. 5 of the 13 that are rated D or below, 4 of the 5 have a decrease. You have 1 that had an increase in school performance score. However, the score was so low it didn't make a difference. Highest gain in the district. 2 of 5 have dropped letter grades. So that's cause for alarm. So what do we do to reverse that trend? We come in with a school improvement program. Given the opportunity, I will focus on 4 areas. Transformational leadership, where you prioritize improvements and you communicate with urgency. You monitor short and long-term goals. Customize and target support where the need is. Then you move to instructional transformation. Diagnose and respond to the student needs. Provide rigorous evidence-based instruction and remove barriers and provide opportunities. Talent development. And this is where the university come in. They can be an assistant to recruit, develop, retain, and sustain the talent within the parish. Target professional learning opportunities and set clear performance expectations. We have to look at cultural shifts, last but not least. Build strong communities intensely focused on student learning, a strategic plan perhaps. Solicit and act upon stakeholders' input is vital. Engage students and families in pursuing educational goals. Within the first 100 days, these will be my priorities. Establish key relationships within the district and the community. Focus on the organizational review by looking for effective and efficient practices that we're currently doing. Keep some, eliminate others. Curriculum and instruction. Ensure that we're providing all students with a rigorous, state-aligned curriculum that's meeting all their needs. And last but not least, culture and climate, and expectation for all. I believe we can prepare a future where all students matter, with community engagement, a viable curriculum and instruction, human capital that focuses on recruiting and retaining, accountability, setting high expectations for all, but last but not least, equity. I conclude with this quote by Dr. Ron Edmonds. We can, whenever and wherever we choose, successfully teach all children whose schooling is of interest to us. We already know more than we need to do this. Whether we do it or not must finally depend on how we feel about the fact we have not done so far. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Curt R. Green. I aim to provide leadership, scholarship, and tenacity. Always tenacity.
Thank you, Dr. Green.
Yes, sir.
Does anyone have any questions on his opening remarks? If not, are you ready for us to break into questions, sir?
Yes, sir.
Great. Mr. Eugene, can you lead us out?
Yes, first, thank you for your application. My question is, what is the biggest barrier in education today, and how will you work to foster students struggling in rid of the barrier?
Well, first of all, I don't see barriers because I don't come in any situation with a deficit mindset. If we say we have barriers, that means we have problems. So I look at it in a positive. I think we have challenges, we have obstacles. However, there are solutions. And I think we need to first focus on finding those solutions rather than saying they're barriers, because when you have a barrier, that means you stop. You don't work towards achieving. You see a barrier for water or whatever the case may be, that means don't go there. In the educational sense, when we have barriers, we have to find solutions to overcome those. I.e., some folks like to say, well, the parents aren't engaged. Well, operationally define parental engagement so we can get those individuals engaged. Find out what it means to those individuals to be actively engaged. You know, so again, I don't look at barriers in education. I can come up with a lot of excuses that individuals will say: low parental involvement, we don't have the resources, they didn't do the homework. Those are all excuses. And all of those situations can be overcome by finding a different solution, another alternative. We don't have certified teachers. Okay, well, if we don't have certified teachers, what are we going to do? Stop school? No, you create a program. You create a program where you're training and retaining those same individuals. So I'm going to help you, walk you through the process, becoming certified, and all you have to give me in return is a few years within the district. And that's something that, you know, as a board, we can establish. How long must they commit to? So again, I don't see barriers. I just see opportunities. I see challenges that we have to find alternative solutions to that we haven't thought about. And sometimes it requires thinking outside the box.
Thank you for your answer.
Yes, sir.
Any follow? Ms. Paul?
We have a large African American student population here in Natchez Parish. How do you foresee enhancing meaningful administrative positions for qualified African Americans throughout our parish?
Well, I think first and foremost, you hit the nail on the head when you say qualified. So if we don't have qualified individuals, we have to put things in place. It might be an opportunity to do a partnership with the local university or build from within. And I think just the fact that I am Afro-American as well, I can lead by example. Again, I talked about AIE, where I currently sit as the program manager overseeing just that. We're providing opportunities for individuals to become certified. So we can follow the step, we can create our own pipeline and build capacity with teachers and with aspiring administrators. It would be great if we can partner with a local university so we don't have to bear that burden. I think we can do it much quicker because when you go and do things like that, you always have to find universities. Currently, the program I'm with now, we're partnering with LSU. But locally, I would like to do everything, within the local parish and look at Northwestern. So I think, again, getting them to the point to where they can become certified is not something that's going to take them forever to do. The current program we run now with AIE, we can do it within a year. It's 1,000 hours, and I think we can craft that program in-house or in partnership with NSU to do just that, provide them with opportunities. And I think, again, just the fact that I'm Afro-American, I can serve as a positive male role model and perhaps even lead the initiative because I have the know-how and the experience.
Dr. Green,
Yes,
there are
sir.
some questions in front of you in writing.
In writing.
Do you see them on? There you go. Just want to make sure that you had those in front of you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any follow-up?
In terms of positions, again, you have to talk about the opportunities that exist. If we're in IUT district, there's opportunity to be master and mentor teachers, and that's opportunities. It's almost like stepping stones before you move into those leadership roles. But you have to provide them with opportunities to do just that. And you can give them some practical instant gratification, i.e. opportunities to lead summer school, perhaps extended learning opportunities where they're getting that experience now rather than waiting till they complete a program. So at the end of the program, they don't say, well, you know what, this is too much for me. So let's get all that out the way because as you become an administrator, there are night duties, i.e. basketball games, coverages, and things of that nature. So let's give them the full opportunity to experience what being a leader is all about.
Any follow-up? Mr. Beans.
What is your experience with budgets and what process would you use to prepare a budget?
All right, my experience with budgets, I would definitely relate to being a high school principal. My last opportunity, I won't say last, but the opportunity I had in Atlanta Public Schools, I oversaw the construction of a $50 million building. It was all my idea. I built the school from ground up. So I had a budget to monitor, which included ed specs. But again, that was at the district level. You work within parameters, just like a Title I, you have so much money. And the way I go about it, let's look at our needs. Oftentimes with Title I, you're going to deal with curriculum and instruction and anything that support ELA and math in terms of PD materials and supplies. At this level, again, I don't see investing a lot in programs. I look at investing in people because that's going to give you some sustainability. Programs only last for so long. It's just like technology. You buy, let's say, $100,000 worth of Chromebooks. Within 2 years, technology has changed. Now you're looking at revamping that again to meet the current demands and needs of what's going on in the classroom. So in terms, again, with experience of budgets, it's strictly as a principal overseeing a general fund, a Title I fund, and things of that nature. Nothing to the magnitude of overseeing an entire district.
How would you handle a deficit and how would you review for changes?
Well, I think with a deficit, you definitely got to look at where the spending is going and look at the bang for the buck. I always believe in a cost principle. Some things, again, you can do without spending an awful lot of money. And I definitely agree, you can spend less in terms of PD. For example, oftentimes we'll bring in a number of consultants doing the same thing year after year because of high turnover rate. But yet, if you do train-the-trainer model, now you have some stability within your district. That person can go and replicate that same training over and over again each time you get new individuals. The same would apply in this situation. Why are we continuing to spend so much money on reoccurring things when we can train in-house now our own people are providing the same service rather than us doing the same thing with someone else. Same thing with maintenance. As much as you can do in-house, you're saving money rather than spending it outside the district. So look at what you have in terms of the district and the capacity that's in the house that you can utilize funds towards rather than always spending out or seeking other, individuals to come perform a service that you have individuals in-house to do the same thing. Okay.
Any problem?
And you would, you would review them, say what items would I review, operations, transportation routes, things of that nature.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How would you ensure that all new teachers complete cultural diversity training?
I think anything that you do, you always have to set expectations. So you inspect from your feet and not your seat. You can't say you expect individuals to do it and not expect it. So you have to closely monitor. So as you trickle down, you have to have insurances from administrators in the building that this particular training has done. But I always believe that if I'm going to hold individuals accountable, I got to lead by example. So I'm going to be the first one. In fact, I might be the one having them sign in, sitting at the table. So I'm going to lead by example. In each opportunity that is provided, you're going to see me first showing that I value this particular training and not something I'm just pawning it off on you guys just because. It truly does matter.
Any follow-up? Dr. Green,
Yes, sir.
if hired, what potential is there for you bringing in your own support staff?
What potential? Well, having the opportunity to work in several states and build relationships with individuals. Individuals are definitely eager and looking forward to me to have the opportunity to lead the district and would love to come along. However, I think I would always begin looking on the inside first and foremost. I would evaluate individuals' performance over the past and see if they have met the criteria that has been set for them to carry out those duties. And if it's deemed well, those individuals are not where they need to be in order to make a difference in the lives of young people, one or two things will happen. I'm going to inspire them to grow or motivate them to go. I always believe in building capacity first and foremost because we're in an age where sometimes individuals are hard to come by. You have classrooms that are open and I won't mention any services, but sometimes you go to these services that are outside, you can't even find competent people to be serving in those classrooms. So I don't, favor getting rid of individuals because most folks don't know what they don't know. So I'm going to build capacity first and foremost until you show me that I'm teaching and training you and you're just unwilling to serve in that capacity. Well, there are other opportunities for you. You're just not here. So a will skill matrix served that point. You're looking at individuals high will, high skill, low will, low skill. Sometimes, the plan of improvement will help those individuals. But again, I firmly believe in building capacity first and foremost, or I encourage individuals to seek other opportunities. Because at the end of the day, we can't afford to waste time when you're dealing with individuals that you should be, making a difference for their life as they move forward and become young adults and contributing members to society.
Okay. Any follow-up that we're making? Ms. Ray?
Good evening, Dr. Green.
Good evening.
My question for you is, what steps would you take to evaluate the current leadership positions within the central office and provide a time when you had to repurpose an employee to move to a more productive position?
All right, so the first part of that question, the first thing I would do in terms of evaluation would look at the duties and responsibilities. And we're gonna, if we don't have an evaluation system in place, we're gonna create one based upon the duties and responsibilities. First and foremost, I would say look at a Likert scale, just like teachers are evaluated, the Compass Leader. As you know, the Compass rubric, we're looking at mission and vision, culture and climate and instruction. Some positions don't deal with that directly. However, we have to put it into the wording according to the position they hold. So again, their job evaluation will be based upon their job description. I create the rubric if there's none in place. Based upon, again, and they will be evaluated accordingly. I had an opportunity, sitting, as principal, I'm trying to move the school forward, and I had an individual who was comfortable teaching, Algebra 1. However, for the past 5 years, that same individual has sat in that seat and it was not making a difference. So in order to make a turnaround in that performance area, because you're held accountable on SBS in Algebra 1, I had to move the individual. It wasn't favorable because she had been sitting in that same district for 28 plus years at a point, ready to retire. Didn't make a difference though. In order to move the school, I have to put the right resources in the right places. So I won't say she was a sacred cow overtly, but she was. So what I had to do was, okay, you're going to still be an Algebra 1 teacher. However, we're going to double dose. So I hired a certified Algebra 1 teacher, and I allowed this individual to serve as the lab teacher for Algebra 1. So it was a win-win. The students' performance increased dramatically. Again, you know, sometimes you just have to look at the capacity of individuals. So she had the opportunity to learn from someone who's certified, who can share best practices with her. Didn't look at it as a demotion, and today she's doing well. She's still in the system, still teaching Algebra 1, and the scores are steady on the rise. But you just have to do it where you don't tarnish relationships. You know, because if I'd have just moved her and it had been viewed as a demotion, it could have went, you know, south quick. And that's the last thing I wanted to do because of her relationship within the district and the support she had from fellow teachers. But again, you know, sometimes you have to make those critical calls. You know? Mm-hmm.
Any follow-up? Okay. Mr. Mill.
We all understand that job satisfaction is key to retain our employees long term. Aside from pay increase, how could you positively impact staff job satisfaction?
Rewards and recognition. You have to provide monthly rewards and recognition. Show them they're doing a good job. A little plaque, public recognition, something in the paper, cake, ice cream, a certificate, a plaque, flowers. And we got to do this on an ongoing basis. You know. So again, that's not a lot of money, but it's some money. You know, nothing to the extent to where you're getting $2,000-3,000 increases, but it's again, it's an opportunity to be recognized that you're moving in the right direction, and we recognize you. It can be something as simple as a parking spot, something as simple as a tote bag, a T-shirt, something that you can hang your banner on as you walk around town and saying that you were recognized by the parish for Teacher of the Month, for excellent performance, something of that nature. It also can be an opportunity to lead professional development. So what are you doing at your site, in your classroom, that the rest of us not doing? Well, let's go see what's taking place at this particular school from this particular teacher, so we all can learn and grow. Everyone wants that pat on the back. And if you don't do it enough in these small ways, then again, people look for it.
Okay. Any follow-up? Reverend Harris.
What will you do to increase dual enrollment in Jumpstart pathways?
But dual enrollment, I'm a big advocate of dual enrollment because as I shared in a picture, my son, CJ, I said he'll be 19 tomorrow. He's a junior at Georgia State. So he started dual enrollment after his sophomore year at Atlanta Metropolitan. So he graduated with 46 credit hours. The youngest is 16. He won't be 17 till the summertime, but he's currently a freshman at Atlanta Metropolitan Tech. So he is completely all of his graduation requirements for high school and now full-time dual enrollment. So I'm a big advocate of that. And again, you look at the institutions that you have locally to create those opportunities, and you talk with families and start talking about the benefits of dual enrollment. The way I see it, it was an opportunity for him to get some college experience and credit because AP just wasn't getting it. Taking AP classes, the teachers didn't have the capacity. In fact, the principals weren't sending the teachers to the summer mandatory training so they can be refreshed with the curriculum. They were going off 4 or 5 years of what they used to know and not what they should know in order to have students be effective. So again, I'm a big advocate of dual enrollment. I would look for all opportunities, whether it's online, whether we hire individuals who can be adjunct professors and serve on our high school campus, or we can provide transportation to get our students to NSU. So again, these are opportunities that we can seek and establish partnerships with the local institutions provide opportunities for our students. Now, oftentimes they say, well, you don't have the ACT. You're right, but they have the active placement. So we can get more kids taking the active placement that will give them that opportunity to do just that. Start taking college credits now rather than waiting till after the fact. In terms of jumpstart pathways, I was driving up, I was looking at industries possibly to say, okay, here are some possible industries, but all I saw was rain, a lot of fields, and some cows. So I said, okay, GPS, maybe diverted me from the city. I drove up the street looking, I said, let me just see what's going on. That would be definitely something I'd have to look at. But just thinking out the box, I said, okay, well, there is cybersecurity. That's a big field right now. But I was definitely looking for industry as I drove up to say, okay, let's see how we can partner with some industry to get more kids, along the way of Jumpstart. Now, here's an idea, it might be far-fetched, and it might be some legal ramifications, but it's worth considering. Now, if we have deficits within the district, i.e. maintenance. So there are pathways that do just that, deal with maintenance. So let's get our kids engaged in those opportunities, right? So there's welding, there's carpentry, there's a whole bunch of things that we can do in-house. If allowed, our kids can engage in. And not only save the district money, but provide those individuals with some career experiences, probably before they get out of high school. It would be great if we had a CTE, career and technical ed opportunity. So half day is teaching and learning in terms of your course. The other half is CTE, based upon your pathway. Now, my last stop in East Feliciana, we were 100 feet from BRCC, an extension campus, and they provided welding, welder's help, and CNA. If you're familiar with East Feliciana, it's pretty much surrounded by prisons. So it was all kind of, institutions where individuals were locked up. So it was either correctional officer or logging. Everybody worked in the mill, so logistics. That's pretty much what the parents did out there. And, I tried to get those kids to look beyond that. We're only 40 minutes away from LSU or Southern, right up Plank Road. But, you have to expose them to those different opportunities. Otherwise, they don't know what to be because they haven't seen it before. So again, we got to provide opportunities and exposure, but again, I'll look at all the opportunities we have in-house. It could be an education opportunity because we have, a ton of educators here. It could be business administration. We have a ton of that. Accounting. Just think about all the possibilities the district currently have that we can expose our students to. HR, finance, accounting, maintenance, teaching, culinary arts. So it's a lot that I would look first in-house, that we can do before saying we just don't have industry. Not everybody want to be a farmer. Not that being a farmer is a bad idea, but I would look in-house and then start branching out and look out-house. Yes, sir.
Any follow-up? Ms. Bromwell.
Right. Considering that each school has unique needs, what do you feel is the best way? What do you feel is the best way to ensure that each school receives a curriculum to meet those needs while maintaining consistency from grade to grade and year to year? Additionally, how will you ensure that teachers will have all the supplies that they will need to implement a curriculum prior to the start of the school year? And please include in your response your thoughts on the use and support of magnet and laboratory schools.
All right, that's a loaded question. That's a lot. So let me break this down. Unique needs. I think we begin with a comprehensive needs assessment. So everyone's given the same survey. What are your current needs? And that's based upon the data. Because that's something that is not subjective. It's objective. It's right in front of us. So let's begin with that. So based upon the data, I want you to complete the comprehensive survey needs. I don't want you to just do it by yourself as an instruction leader on that campus. I want you to get a team. So I want more heads than one doing this survey. So I want a comprehensive needs survey done first and foremost based upon what you believe or what your school leadership team believes are the current needs in order to achieve at high levels. That's first and foremost. Now, as a district, we're going to look at that and we're going to find out if there's some things that are emerging, i.e. PD on gradual release. But if everybody's saying the same thing, but they don't have an instructional framework, then that's something as a district we should, hold that and say, well, we're going to provide that. If it's technology, if that's something that's a theme across the board, and as a district, we have to determine that's something we need to provide. But as you start to look at the comprehensive needs survey and you see some differences, some differentiation, then you look at ways to support it. And before you say, okay, this is something we can't do, start looking at who's doing it extremely well. For example, differentiated instruction. You don't really need to go and get a consultant for differentiated instruction if another school is doing DI extremely well. In fact, that's something I can do. So I firmly believe as an instructional leader, I'm going to utilize my own capacity and build capacity in others so we can, be at all places at one time. So I like this, when I mentioned a rigorous state-aligned curriculum. They're providing guidebooks. That's not something you have to spend money on. So in fact, I'll share this with you. Just recently, I was at a TNTP, the New Teacher Project, and it was a PD on disrupting the myth, the opportunity myth. And what that whole protocol dealt with was looking at what teachers are teaching in the classroom, grade level equivalent. Are the reading materials aligned to Lexile scores? And I think that was important. First time I had taken a look at it, and I think that's definitely something that is needed. All too often we look at a mismatch. For example, AP class, everybody's getting A's. But when you look at the test, what's happening on the test? Very few 3s, 4s, and 5s. It's a mismatch. Why is it a mismatch? Because the material they're using to teach the class is not at a level appropriate to be successful on the exam. It's a mismatch. Looking at the surveys, we're going to prioritize the needs and ensure that they get to where they need to be at the end of the day. Now, as I mentioned before, you had one school that's a failing school. However, they had 5.3% increase. They did something last year that others didn't do because I think the highest performing school, they went backwards. So what took place at that failing school that provided them with such a surge? They're moving in the right direction. It's not enough to get out of the hole yet, but guess what? They're moving in the right direction. So let's look at that and see how we can replicate whatever they did, whether it's a bell ringer, whether it's looking at their master schedule and finding time for teachers to collaborate. Perhaps it was taking the instructional minutes and moving from a 90-minute time frame to a 50-minute time frame. What did they do different to get those points? That's some things we just have to sit down and start taking a deep dive at the data and having conversations. And again, I think what really has to take place, rather than looking at individual schools, we all one. We're going to rise together, we're going to fall together. So whatever we're doing collectively across the board that's having success, we got to, replicate those best practices and quit looking at that you gaining and I'm failing in this. No, we all in one. So when the parish is a seat, guess what? We all are seats. When the parish rise, we all rise. So we start working collaboratively. But again, I firmly believe in equity. We only have so much money, and we got to be stewards of the money. So as much as we can do in terms of building capacity individuals with our own knowledge, we all went to school for this profession. Let's take advantage of it. Now, I know I won't be the only one with a doctorate in this district, but I guarantee you that you're going to get, the butter from the duck if given the opportunity. I'm going to maximize what, all this education that I have, you're going to have to spend it on outside resources because I don't have that capacity. Again, leadership, scholarship, and tenacity. Always tenacity.
Any follow that? I have one. Let's talk about that comprehensive needs survey. And so what is your part been in administering those or conducting those?
At the schools in Mississippi, I've been there now a past year and a half. We're partnered with Johns Hopkins Everyone Graduate Center. These schools are the bottom 5% within the state. The first thing these particular 3 schools had to do was a comprehensive need assessment. They're comprehensive high schools. They've been failing for the past 5, 6, 7 years. So the state deemed them to make a drastic improvement, a drastic turnaround. You have to do something different than what you're currently doing. So what does that mean? You have to look at how you're organizing the adults within the building. You have to look at putting students first. You have to look at post-secondary opportunities. And last but not least, you have to look at how you are teaching and learning kids within that building. And this is something that I'm working with them and in partnership with Johns Hopkins University to redesign those schools. Now, one particular school is looking at an early college concept. Some of the drugs they have, poor attendance. Kids have adult responsibilities. They don't come to school. So you have to look at modifying their schedule so they can do both. Be adults, provide those, responsibilities they have to do on the other end, but at the same time, provide them with a schedule that's going to allow them to leave early. Another school is looking at career academies. They have a partnership with Mississippi Medical Center. So they're looking at first responders. Now, not everybody's going to college, so that paradigm, that cultural shift has to take place. He said college and careers. So we have to shift the thinking. So if you're providing kids with an opportunity, they don't have to wait 4 years to start making a living, guess what? They're more inclined to be engaged. Hey, well, you know, I can go to school half a day and still go work and still get credit for that. There's work-based learning opportunities. But I do have experience. There are several formats to use in terms of a comprehensive needs survey that are out there. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. They're there for you.
Thank you. It was a long question, you're right.
Yes, sir. Let's see. Magnets and laboratory, again, I'm all for any opportunity in terms of innovation that provide our kids opportunity to be, you know, advanced, or opportunities to meet the rigors of life sooner. I'm all for it. Okay. If you're talking partnerships, you know, with laboratory schools, they should be providing promising and best practices. That's not something we should be spending resources on. We should be able to go there and pick up from them. They should be able to model what the research says. We should be able to get some of those students who are going into the profession and put them in our classrooms to model some of those practices that they believe are promising. So I'm all for it. Any innovation, and in fact, if they have some promising practice that we can replicate elsewhere, let's go for it.
All right. Any follow-up? Ms. Katrina.
Good evening, Mr. Green.
Good evening, ma'am.
Our crime rate has increased dramatically. What would you be able to put in place to help our children stay in school and further their education, so that they won't end up in the streets or a statistic?
And you know, that's a good question, and I don't think I have the answer. I think I wouldn't be here. But what I can say is this: I firmly believe in restorative practices, and that's an ideal that students have the opportunity to restore the harm that they have caused. And restorative practices not only work in schools, but they work in the community. So I firmly believe that's something we can do. I think we have to build relationships with kids. They have to have role models in the building, and they have to have opportunities, whether it's the weekend or Saturday academy or extended learning opportunities at school, so they have a safe haven to go where they're supervised. And the activities are taking place that are constructive and meaningful. Otherwise, they're unsupervised and they do as they do. It leads to some drastic increases in crime, as you say. So again, I would look at creating opportunities for students to have some extended learning opportunities, both after school and on the weekend. Look at partnering with local universities, whether it's fraternity or sorority, so we can get some mentors in front of our students, some role models, and look at ways to increase extracurricular activities that are positive, that our kids can engage in. And there are, again, several opportunities, and I've seen things that work for students. We can look at robotics, FIRST Robotics, where they're building robots and they're competing with individuals. The 100 Black Men in Atlanta sponsor Project Success, and they have tremendous support. I started the first Lego robotics team in Atlanta public schools, and now they have just about a team in every school, and they compete. The school that I founded is even hosting the tournaments now, so that's a positive. It's not only something engaging, but it's also some career aspirations that schools can take advantage of. Fraternities and sororities is how I had the opportunity to step my foot in education. During my tenure at LSU, I was the education chairman. We partnered with University Terrace across the street from LSU. We had the opportunity to do extended learning opportunities after school tutorials, and then we partnered with Big Buddy program where we served as the mentors, and we provided the coaching for those guys to do flag football and basketball during those seasons with the local BREC, YMCA. So there are opportunities that we can create and put our students in front of. It's just reaching out and, again, collaborating within the community.
Yes, what are your thoughts? This is something related. What are your thoughts about suspensions in school, expulsions?
Unless you're doing something constructive when you send somebody home, I don't think it works. That's why I said restorative practices is the answer. because you have to diffuse that. You have to have the individual who's doing the harm understand how the victim feels and the impact that they're making. If it's not resolved, guess what? They're gonna come back and it's gonna be intensified, because somebody's gonna tell that individual, while you were at home, so-and-so said X, Y, and Z, or they're gonna look at a Facebook post or a Snapchat post, whatever social media platform they're using today, and it's only gonna exacerbate the problem. So you have to look at a way to resolve the conflict that was, that occurred, to get them to find some common ground, find some resolution, conflict resolution. If you don't like restorative practice, perhaps it's conflict resolution, and you get the peers engaged. I've seen that work as well, whether you have, I won't say judge and jury, but they actually have like a peer counsel where they have to go and report. You have individuals serving as lawyers and so on and so forth. So they're going through a process, and then the students even determine what the consequences are. But I don't think just sending a kid home with nothing to do serves the purpose. You have to provide them with something. In restorative practice, there are several models. The kid will go to in-school suspension. Well, guess what? We don't call it in-school suspension anymore. We call it in-school intervention, because that's what the kid is doing. We're going to provide him with an intervention so that same occurrence don't take place again. So we're going to send him and have him or her sit down and learn some modules. It might be on respect. It might be on boundaries. There's a whole curriculum out there that I know an individual that's using in some schools. But there are things that we need to put in place to get the individual to understand that those behaviors won't be tolerated, and this is how you work through them. So the more individuals we have that they can go and talk to, because, you know, I did my dissertation on correlates of effective schools and social emotional learning within single gender schools. That piece is vital. That piece is vital. That social emotional component is vital. Because again, at the end of the day, kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So again, that fosters relationships that you need with students. That whole piece.
How do we create a community and district-wide culture of continuous improvement, and how would you align your plans to achieve those goals?
Well, I think on the PowerPoint, I shared those 4 buckets, and I think that has to be a starting point. We begin with that, and we look at now. Some schools are going to be further along on that continuum than others, but we have to have something in place. I think we have to start with a school, not a school, but a strategic plan. That's something I look for on the district website, a strategic plan. So I was going to focus on moving forward with that strategic plan. Not sure if they had one, but nothing appears. So I would say let's begin with a strategic plan. And then the board decide, okay, is this plan going to be for 5 years, 3 years, whatever the case may be. But we got to start, you know, with some basic needs from the community. What is it that we want our kids to be able to do by the time they leave this parish? And as they set out and share with us what they want, then we start prioritizing. We start looking at the resources it's going to take to carry out those particular goals. We say, hey, within the first couple of years, we can accomplish this. This goal might be year 4 or 5, whatever the case may be, but we have to start somewhere with a strategic plan. I firmly believe that's first and foremost in order to improve. Now, once we have some targets to reach for, then at the end of the year, we come back and say, hey, did we reach the goal? Yes, no, maybe so. And if we didn't, what do we have to do? We have to revise our strategy. And then we have to attack it from a different point of view or a different place. But we can't just say it's all lost. No, that's time and effort that was utilized. We just need to tweak it a little bit to get the bang for the buck, to get the desired results that we're looking for. Now, once we achieve that, we check that off and we move on. Do we need to add another one? Yes, no, maybe so. But we have to put something in place that we're focused on that's going to guide the work that we're going to do over the next 3 to 5 years. The plan is definitely up to the board. We implement the plan, we monitor the plan, and we celebrate along the way. You can't just say we have something and we don't celebrate. Any small step towards it is a celebration. And again, you can't fall out of bed if what? You're sleeping on the floor.
Dr. Any follow-up? That's good.
Let me ask you, I remember you said that you headed an all one gender school.
Yes, ma'am. I've had that good fortune to open up 2 schools, all boys.
And I know that, you know, in our community, sometimes you run into a lot of young men that have anger problems that cause them a lot of issues in the long run. So I feel that counseling should be something that should be available to help children with different emotional issues, anger, and we don't address some of that, a lot of times.
Well, that's definitely something, we need to look at. I think, again, on the high school, you have opportunities to do advising. So that could be a period that's done when you start, implementing social emotional learning activities. And, those areas focus on 5 components: self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, the ability to build relationships and make right decisions. So those are the 5 areas that deal with SES. And there are all kind of activities that you can do in the curriculum, embedded in the curriculum that fosters that. But they also have to have an outlet. Someone, when, they feel the weight of the world's coming down on them, they can go to. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Green, we're at that point, for your closing remarks.
So, at the end of the day, I truly would like to be the superintendent in Natchitoches Parish for the opportunity to have an impact and make a legacy on the young people within the parish by providing leadership, scholarship, and tenacity. The opportunity to collaborate with stakeholders to fulfill the district's mission and vision. And finally, the opportunity to ensure that all students are able to succeed at their highest level and to become contributing members to society. If there are any questions that you would like me to further elaborate on, I would yield the remaining time to do so.
Any follow-up? Dr. Green, we definitely appreciate your time. You bring a lot of passion to the table.
Thank you.
We are going to meet March 3rd and decide the finalists moving forward. You will receive a call on the 4th, determining whether you're going to move forward or not in the process. So any questions for us before we?
No, again, I'd like to thank you. It's a tough decision that you have. And hopefully you guys will sift through all the candidates and make the right decision. Because the young people that you serve, life depends on. Thank you again. And drive safe as you depart to your homes this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Green.
Hope it doesn't rain on you.
That's fine. Thank you again. Oh, that's it. Okay.
Thank you.